Hi, it's Steve Hargadon, and we're in the closing keynote for the Library 2017 Makerspaces online mini conference. It's been quite an exciting day. Thanks, everybody, for putting up with some technical hurdles, but there are a good number of you in here. That means you stuck with us. We appreciate it. So Heather's here to give us our closing keynote. Before she does so, let's give some thanks to the School of Information at San Jose State University, Follett and WizIQ and Badge List. I don't know if anybody's doing the digital badging, but there is a link to it on the site, and there's also a link in the emails that you got as registrants if you're interested in getting some kind of digital recognition. Here's a map. We used to let people put where they were by little dots, but the technology now no longer allows that. So this is just a reminder. Let us know in the chat where you're participating from. It's really fun for people to hear that. And I'm going to turn things over to Heather. Thanks, Heather, for a great day so far.
Oh, no, thank you. This is actually my first Library 2.0. I've had a little bit of time to, in between, I was the moderator for the opening keynote, and now I am the closing keynote. I am seeing everywhere from Poland to Brisbane to Kewanee. I probably pronounced that incorrectly. Illinois. I'm going to say Illinois. Flashing by the screen very quickly, everywhere from High Point, North Carolina, which is half an hour from where I am from, which is Greensboro, North Carolina. My mother-in-law actually lives in High Point, North Carolina. And I am actually an associate professor at the University of South Carolina in famously hot Columbia, South Carolina. And today I'm going to be talking to you about equitable access in makerspaces, and I'm going to be closing up our time together. I've had the pleasure of being able to go into a couple of rooms. I think I even interrupted one of the sessions in one of the rooms, and for that I do apologize. We may have had a little cross time, or we're not quite sure what happened. It's been a lot of fun figuring out new technology, trying out new technology. I have not gotten to try WizIQ before. And so with new technology comes, experimentations and trying new things out, which is the way it works when it comes to makerspaces. Of course, not all makerspaces always deal in technology. There's low tech, there's high tech, and there's everything in between. But to close us out, I thought I might talk about equitable access and makerspaces. And you're exactly right, Peggy. It is a learning curve, and that's what I love about technology. If you ever get me in an elevator and I give you a speech, my little elevator speech, I started out, I started out in theater education and performance education. And then I moved into technology education. And then within emerging tech and education and libraries, I started working in makerspaces, looking at makerspaces. I'm a qualitative researcher by trade, and I look to see how people are using makerspaces in their libraries, education, in schools of library science. And over the years, I've gone more from the broad picture to more of the narrow picture over the years. And so, for instance, I've gone from more how public libraries, academic libraries, and school libraries were using their makerspaces and how students were using their makerspaces, to now I'm really beginning to narrow the focus, where specifically this year, one of my peers here at my institution and I were looking at makerspaces with LGBTQIA populations. My best friend works at the Cherokee Native American schools in North Carolina, and I'm going to be doing makerspace activities with her and hoping to write about that. I'm looking at accessibility and makerspaces. And so I'm looking at a lot of different areas of makerspaces. I hope to look at makerspaces with people who are on their second or third iteration of a makerspace and what they learned from their earlier iterations. So say, for instance, like the Chicago Public Library, they have two different makerspaces in their main branch. What did they learn from the building of the first one to the second one? All of those types of things. And so those are just different things that going from the broad now to a much more focused area in makerspaces, hackerspaces, fab labs, mobile makerspaces, and such. But we only have a few minutes together, and I am going to be closing us out today, which is thoroughly my pleasure. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So as you well know, makerspaces are a unique learning environment that encourages tinkering, play, and open-ended exploration for all. Not to remind you of what makerspaces are, they don't even have to be a space, but I wanted to specifically focus on the exploration for all. This is a quote from Laura Fleming, and I like that quote because makerspaces can be anything that you and your patrons want them to be. Sometimes they are a space. Sometimes, as I said, they are high tech. Sometimes they are low tech. They are what you and your patrons, your community, what you designate them to be. And so for these last few minutes together, I'm going to take a look at different types of accessibility, making our makerspaces accessible to all different types of populations. So if we wanted to first think about digital makerspaces, and I start with a quote from Vanessa Kitsey, who actually works with me here at the University of South Carolina. If you are developing an online space, this circumvents some of these geographic and infrastructural barriers, as well as affords connection to valued information sources produced outside the formal publishing systems. Now, what am I talking about when I say a digital makerspace? Sometimes people are just talking about a digital tools, digital makerspaces. These are sometimes seen as tools that we can use in a library maker location. They could be digital video cameras, microphones, musical instruments, media editing software, 3D printers, computer programming kits, software like that. As an instance, this is the Orlando Public Library, one of the sassiest public libraries I have probably had the pleasure of visiting. They have a full they have a full music studio. They have a full lab of classes that they work with their public schools in the community to have classes for young students, middle school, up to high school, where students can come in and take classes. They have a floor to ceiling screen where they can do Google mapping and all different types of screen work. They can draw, they can design, they can teach. They also have a studio where they can code, create, plan, and they can also have a studio. It's what this picture is down here at the bottom. This is actually a lab for being able, you can fly a plane. It's a simulation lab is what it is. And they have where you can fly a plane, you can drive a forklift, you can drive a car. They have one other one, and I believe they can actually, I may be going out on a limb here, but they can actually build programs to be able to work with those. And there was a great story their librarian was telling me about a gentleman who had come in to work with their forklift program while they were using the forklift. And after he had used a certain amount of hours with the forklift program, he went away for a while. They hadn't seen him. They didn't know what happened to him. What he had done is he'd gone to the local community college, got actual experience with the forklift, got his forklift license, and got a job in the area. So finding how we can work with people in the community, tying it back to the community. They have over 6,000 square feet of maker space in their library for sewing, computers, music, musicians in the area. They actually come in and use that music studio. It is a full music studio, and they have 5 full-time librarians in the areas of music and computer science and design and not chemistry, but science in those areas to help them with what they are working on in their library. I know that is not the case for every library. I've met 2 libraries that actually have that many people who are full-time. Most of the time, it's a librarian in a school who is working by themselves or with their community or with their students to best support the making that is happening in their schools. But there are situations and instances where you've got these types of digital maker situations. But the other thing that we're talking about when we talk about digital making is green screens, online tools, ways that we can build digital situations that are in a digital atmosphere where we can take them with us. We can build things online. And 2 of my favorite examples, green screens with the DoInk app, news video programs, but probably my very favorite picture I've ever taken is green screen pizza boxes. Has anybody ever done or seen small scale green screens? Yes, no, anyone? Yeah. Okay. Got a few folks who have. And what this was Travis Nelson, a librarian here in South Carolina, and what he did was he took pizza boxes. I mean, he specifically said to me, he was just like, if you have pizza boxes, if one of them gets old, well, I just go get a new one. Also found out that if you go to some of the pizza places, they will sell you the clean pizza boxes for $2. So that's pretty handy. And the little small one on the end there, I think that's the one you get with the little cinnamon sticks. Sure. And so what he does with this is he paints the insides green. And then he also uses the Starbucks straws, which are also green, cuts little holes in them, and then he does puppet shows. He does book talks. He does commercials for school and class and library, and introduces ideas and tours and whatever, anything that you would like to do. It's all available for whatever you would need. I've also seen, not particularly a special paint is used for this, and I'm sorry, I'm not probably answering every question, but it's little tiny sticky figure kits, but no special paint. It's green. I have also seen the other thing that I've seen are the triptychs, or I still call them triptychs, the boards that can be used for science fairs. They come in green, or you can paint them green, and they're used for puppet shows and all the exact same things I just listed. And so being creative with your digital ideas. But when we're talking about a fully online or digital makerspace, we're talking about full accessibility. It is accessible to anyone, anywhere, collaborative across locations. You are talking about a spectrum that is digital tools offered, a complete suite of options that are available for your patrons. And what would that look like in your library? Right now, the ones that I have seen for the most part, you're talking about digital storytelling tools that could be put together. You're talking about music creation tools or recording tools that can be shared or collaborated. There are apps and tools out there for that. Video creation tools, presentation or digital storytelling tools, and visual art creation tools. And so there's a way to put together an entire digital makerspace that could be available on your library website, available for your patrons who may or may not always be able to come to you where you are at. Also for professional development at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, they actually offer modules where you can go through the entire process of a 3D print and then find a local 3D printer to print your actual final product. They also do the same, I believe, with Arduinos, and you could go through the process of working with an Arduino. They have other projects, and it's modules that take you step by step through the process. And then you can do your final product, finding a local library, but they kind of take you through the entire idea. I'm sorry, Susan, that you just got rid of those boards. In some places I have found many people will donate. They will let you buy them on the cheap. I have found lots of different opportunities to get things a little bit less expensive. But yes, we clean things out and then you get a good idea. So moving on, because I'm already halfway through my time. That's what happens when you only have half an hour. One of my favorite things to talk about, and I have also written about, is mobile making. And Ida Mae Craddock, who actually just presented about an hour and a half ago during our sessions here with Library 2017, is mobile making. And she likens a mobile makerspace to a food truck. A mobile makerspace can go to the patron instead of waiting for the patron to arrive. Food trucks, love some food trucks, like mobile makerspaces, depend on the demand and social media advertising. I'm going to show you a few different examples of mobile makerspaces, from what us mere muggles can afford and what are really like shiny ones. So I'm just going to give you a few different examples. One is the DH Makerbus. This is in London, Ontario in Canada. The DH Makerbus is with the Digital Humanities Makerbus. These guys tie writing to making, full curriculum integration. And so they do all different types of writing activities and then tie writing to the making. And what they've done is they've taken an old school bus, pulled out the seats, and then they take the making activities to the students all around in the area. So just think about your different making activities that you love, and then tie them to the curriculum that you enjoy, your writing activities you enjoy, your different writing sparks. That's actually a new app I just posted on Twitter. So writing ideas, writing sparks, writing prompts, and then you can build from there. And so just different ideas. The Frisk Lab, one of my favorite labs to talk about. This is a fully mobile fab lab, the first in Europe, and this is based in the Netherlands. And so fully tricked out. It's got laser cutters and 3D printers, and many of the libraries there in Europe are more public library based. Correct me in any way, shape, or form if I'm wrong. And so being able to take the making and the maker experiences to young people integrate and collaborate with the schools, be able to do more activities and take all of these activities to the students and to the young people and patrons and communities where they are at. Now, if we're looking for something that's a little more in the price range that we might be able to afford on a daily basis, this is an idea of a maker fleet where we can take the making to where the students are at. Each one of these carts has a making activity on it. So there's a 3D printing cart, there's a Sphero cart, there's a Lego cart, there's a knitting cart. Each one of these, oh, there we go. Stephen's telling us about the bio bus that takes bookings for the fall. In North Carolina, there's the scrap exchange in Durham, which will come to your school with all the scraps and stuff. And they'll do a whole class for you. So if you look around, there's places for all different types of mobile making. With this maker fleet, they actually have the QR barcodes on top. As you can see, you scan it, take it back to your classroom. I have a feeling that if you wanted to check out a librarian as well, you might can do that too. I've never checked with Greenwood Elementary School to find out if that's absolutely true, but I bet I'm not too far off. The scrap exchange in North Carolina is pretty awesome. I was just talking to some librarians about that last week, and they assured me that you can also have them come to your schools. And then anyone who has some mobile making, or like Spark Bus in California, Spark Truck in California. There's quite a few different ones. But yes, if you have more mobile ideas, please share them in the chat, because I would love to say I know them all and I have interviewed a bunch. I don't walk around with all the knowledge of all of the makerspaces, and I am always excited to learn about new ones. I've had the pleasure of interviewing and talking to a lot of people over the last 5 years, but I certainly have not talked to everyone. And this is my last picture for mobile making. This is just a big batch of a lot of different mobile making ideas. Over on what is my left side, you've got what we call maker parties in a box. I have seen this concept done with anywhere from shoebox sizes up to tinker totes, where you put a maker idea, one activity in a box at a time. So each time your students come in, they're meant for 1 to 2 students or patrons at a time. They have an activity. It can be anywhere from one of these has the doodler, the 3D doodler pin. You could have anything small you can build with. You can put in instructions, not put in instructions, something small. In Charleston County, the school librarians, in Charleston, South Carolina, they received a $5,000 grant, and they're doing Tinker Totes. And each school that's signed up to do this activity, they're going to have tote boxes, and they're going to fill those tote boxes with different maker activities. And then they're going to exchange them among the schools, trying out activities before they buy them. I have seen state and public libraries have maker kits that they check out to public and school libraries, again, to try things out. The orange cart down at the bottom, that is an old book cart that has been fully tricked out for making around the school. That's by Cynthia Alaniz. I have an old whiteboard that has been turned into a Lego board. And so instead of doing the Lego wall, it's a Lego board. I've also seen that done with a book cart. I'm sorry, not a book cart, but a bookshelf, the back of a bookshelf. I've seen people, with columns, because we don't always have walls. We are creative. We are subversive and we are creative, we librarians. We will find ways to have some maker areas. And so other book carts and things along those lines. So there's a lot of really neat stuff. Ramage, I believe that's Ramage. They have a rolling tool chest, tubs in the district, library techs, all different types of ideas. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat, but it's going fast, and I greatly appreciate all of your ideas. And there's a Dimco cart that's coming up. Maker Closet, actually at the Detroit Public Library, they don't have a maker space. They keep everything in the closet, and they pull everything out as they need it for whatever maker activity they're doing that week. I've also seen a rolling light bright wall, and they use the twisty lights for the light bright wall. I've also seen a light bright wall that didn't require light. It was actually cut up pool noodles. You know, the pool noodles that you use in the pool, they chopped them up and then they had pegs on the wall. I've seen some creative folks. So finishing up with accessibility, talking about accessibility in full. Accessible making at the library can enrich the lives of people who what we would define as differently abled in many ways, allowing them to create items to improve their world, have fun, identify hobby and career possibilities. When we are thinking about making experiences for those who would be differently abled or labeled differently abled, we are thinking of those who are visually impaired, hearing impaired, those with mobility impairments, thinking along the lines of wheelchair, walker, cane, etc. Cognitive impairments, those who are on the autism spectrum or cerebral palsy, talking faster. I'm running out of time. I'm trying not to speed up. And we also have the, you can check ada.gov for more of a thorough list of those who would be identified as differently abled. When you're looking at ideas, just a few, the North Carolina State Library, they actually have what they call a storytelling makerspace, where everything is focused on storytelling. And so they do not only storytelling, but digital storytelling. The young folks actually help them tell the stories with felt boards, puppets, and more. And then along those lines, the University of Colorado Boulder, they have the tactile picture books. I saw these guys at the American Library Association, where with felt, as well as 3D printing, they actually print out images from books to be able to create a tactile experience for readers who are visually impaired. Other ideas that I have seen are visual maps to help students be able to figure out locations on campus, to be able, this is actually a roundabout on campus. These types of things would cost hundreds of dollars to produce, but when it comes to a 3D printer, this is very easy to create, to be able to understand where they are on campus. And my last picture is of doors. And the reason why I show this is actually, this was from Ida Mae Craddock's high school when I went to visit her. She had a student whose brother was hearing impaired. And this particular student wanted to create a device for his brother because he kept slamming doors too hard. And so, and he didn't know he was slamming the doors. And so they wanted to create a little device for his belt that when he slammed a door, it would light up. And so not only are we creating activities, locations, and opportunities for those who might be differently abled, we're creating opportunities for our students to think about those in their lives who are differently abled. And these were devices that they wanted to create. Are you with, I just created, someone from Tactile Picture Books is here. Awesome. I love Tactile Picture Books. I talk about you guys all the time. So when you're setting up your makerspace and you're thinking of those who are in need for accessibility, think along the lines of Facebook, Yahoo, Google. They already have those who are visually impaired. They have visually impaired employees. They have those who are wheelchair bound. They have those who are labeled differently abled, or who would, claim themselves as disabled, to aid in accessibility issues, because we need to ask the experts. In other words, as I just said, ask the experts. Show a video of your layout, get feedback, have instructions in multiple formats. We can do written, we can do demo, we can do video, we can do Braille. I have 2 YouTube channels. Not only are they available in video, first off, they have closed captioning, and if absolutely needed for my online classes, I can produce the transcripts, which can be used for JAWS readers for visualization. You need to make your space layout wheelchair and walker friendly, which for our libraries is already available. Be very aware for noise and music for our autism spectrum guests. Have our outputs in a variety of format: visual, tactile, auditory, taste. How much fun is it to have a culinary makerspace? And if your makerspace is already ready for all of your audiences, then you're already there because you've already encapsulated everybody who's going to come in. And then I finish with an area that I am just starting to work with, and this would be what we would consider our marginalized communities. And I brought in Vanessa Kitsey one more time for this because this is an area we are both working with. Libraries can create online collections and resources that combine the formal sources held by the library for those informally produced by individuals with LGBTQIA communities and identities. So things to ponder: think about our patrons, inclusion of all, feature LGBTQIA authors and artists, marketing between LGBTQIA novels, artists, designers, and much more. And programming in general is no different. It's just the lens and the focus that is specific. So I know I had 30 minutes and I'm pushing on 2 and I'm at the very last bit, but I hope you all had a wonderful Library 2.0 conference. I know, oh, what is my YouTube account? Let's see, I have 2. It is Tech 15 and it is Research Express. Tech 15 is a professional development YouTube channel, which has been here for 3 years. Research Express is brand new, and Research Express is a video channel that is completely focused on research for high school students going into college, and it's step-by-step ideas for how to go through the research process. So I have things like APA in 5 minutes, and how to find keywords, and how to use Google Scholar, and how to use all different types of databases. I was trying to put together a really nice tool in one spot to be able to find tools, use tools, all that type of stuff. Thank you, Peggy. That's Tech 15. And if anybody wants to hunt up my my Research Express channel and post that in there too, that would be great, because that will mean I have to go away from here. But this is well, and you can see my 2 channels right there on my screen. There's and also with my Twitter feed, Acting in the Lib, I just posted about Research Express like not even 10 tweets ago. I post about it quite a lot because it's brand new. That's my website, my Twitter page, my handle, my email. That is everything. So if you ever want to talk making, if you ever want to talk technology, I was the chair for AASL Best Websites for years, so I'm always interested in talking tech. Thank you so much for joining us for Library 2017. And and that's also a dancing, Irish dancing stormtrooper. So, you know, you got to have, there it is. That's Research Express channel. Nicely done. Thank you, Peggy. And so thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and a great Halloween, because I know that's coming up soon too. And thank you. Have a great day. And Steve, I turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Heather. I'm really smiling at the Irish dancing stormtrooper.
That's the band's name is Gaelic Storm.
Nice. And no surprise you started in theater.
Yes, well.
That makes sense.